Hello, everyone. Today we are here to discuss the topic of theory of cost. So, before I start with the topic, I think there are certain things which everyone should have a clarity. That is, what do you mean by the cost? What is the fundamental nature of the cost? Why do they exist? Why cannot we ignore their existence in any business? Let us find the answers to these questions in this topic, in this lecture. Just give a look around your cell phone, your computer, the movie you saw last week. How are all these things available to you? Obviously, you paid the price and got them. But who made them available? There's a long chain from the producer of a good to its retailer. At every level, some value is added to the product. And this did not occur by magic. A whole lot of effort and time by people, technology, and money was involved. This is the cost of making these products available to the consumer for satisfaction of needs and wants. Cost represents sacrificing more than money by the way of giving up for time and effort and opportunity of alternate sources of income to keep the firm in business. So basically, as per the words of Keynes has said, cost means sacrifice. You may ask why sacrifice? Yes, when it is meant for producing something of value, it should not be called sacrifice. But remember, there is always an opportunity cost to every decision. Therefore, the cost of procuring anything means sacrificing something else. Let's have a detailed discussion of theory of cost in terms of cost we sacrifice in terms of theories in traditional and modern world. So starting, this is Dr. Megha Munjal Sharma from DAV Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jalandhar. So to start with the topic of theory of cost, it's but obvious in order to produce a good, every firms make a use of factors of production. Factors of production like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a person who brings all the resources together. The amount we spend on the use of the production is called cost of production. So there's certain amount of cost which is involved in bringing land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur together, and that is known as cost of production. So as per theory of cost is involved, cost of production depends upon quantity. So how would we speak up this equation or we explain this equation? This is cost of production is a function of quantity. I'm repeating, its cost of production is a function of quantity. Since the quantity decides the cost, because the level of quantity we are planning today will lead to the generation of ultimate cost. If I talk about various types of cost today, to produce or sell a commodity, the amount spent in terms of money is called monetary cost. For example, producing 500 dozen of excess book, it will cost 2,000. So this 2,000 is the monetary cost of producing 500 dozen of exercise books. In economics, the following expenses are included in cost: cost of raw material, interest, rent, wages, expenses and power, electricity, depreciation, and expenses and publicity, etc. If I talk about money cost, which is also known as nominal cost, it's an immediate idea that it's an immediate thing that is comes to our mind, that is money cost, the cost that accountant often list. It's a cost which normally every accountant writes in their accounts. There are wages and salaries paid to the labor, expenditure on machinery and equipment. Money cost is also known as nominal cost, already stated to all of you. It is nothing but expenses incurred by a firm to produce a commodity. Therefore, money cost is related to the money outlays by a firm on factors of production, which enable the firm to produce and sell a product. Money costs are further divided into two types. That is, first is explicit and second is implicit cost. Explicit costs are all those expenses that a firm incurs to make payments to the others is called explicit cost. That is usually paid to the others. As per left which, explicit costs are those cash payments which the firm makes to the outsiders. For what? For their services and goods. Like wages we make to the laborers, cost of raw materials, semi-finished goods we pay, interest on loans we usually pay, depreciation charges are all the examples of the explicit costs of a firm. These costs are also known as absolute cost, outlay cost, or actual cost. These are the another names for explicit cost. Please note down please do remember absolute cost, outlay cost, and actual cost as a term. Next is implicit cost. These are the costs an entrepreneurs use or incurs for using its own factors of production or resources. For example, if I'm making my own house with my own family, help of my own family, or painting my own house with the help of my own family, fine. So the cost which I am incurring, that is nothing else, that will be calculated under implicit cost. These are the cost of self-owned and self-employed resources. Thus, total cost constitutes what? Explicit plus implicit cost. Then important thing was started with this topic of opportunity cost. According to this concept, in an economy of supply of economic resources is limited relative to their demand. As such, when resources are used for producing a given commodity, then some amount of other commodities in whose production these resources could have been helpful has to be sacrificed. Fine. So the resources we're sacrificing are nothing else but the terms of opportunity cost. Let's have an example. Suppose a farmer can grow both wheat and gram on a farm. If on a farm measuring 1 hectare, he grows only wheat, he forgoes the production of gram. If the price of quantity of gram he forgoes is 1,000, then the opportunity cost for growing the wheat will be 1,000. So the cost which the person has forgotten or forgiven, that is nothing else but the opportunity cost. Now, talking to the moving ahead with the various other costs, these are real costs. It refers to all those efforts and sacrifices undergone by the various members of the society to produce a commodity is called real cost. That is trouble or sacrifice of producing a commodity. So these are basically every product we produce does not only involve money cost, it involves certain real factors also. Real factors like the hard work or my sacrifices and my efforts which I have undergone. Further, moving with the social costs, producer tries to calculate these kinds of costs nowadays. That is, producer calculates and tries to cover his own private cost. He does not think of the effects of production processes on the society. Social cost is the total cost of production of a commodity, which includes the direct and indirect costs which the society has to pay for the output of a commodity. If I talk about, for example, if a mill owner will count his cost of production, but it will never count that cost which the people living around the factory will have to pay in the form of laundry bills due to the smoke coming out of the factory chimneys. Now, the topic of theory of cost will be followed in the further lectures. So, thank you. And I covered the types of cost. Theory of cost would be covered in the next lectures.